What's going on, everyone? This is
photograph
Corey
doing
with
here?
Gaming Tavern and Xbox Tavern, back with another review. And today I'm looking at a indie game that I looked into so long ago. It's been out on PC, and it is Viewfinder. It is finally available
Did you
on our
just
beloved
shift
Xbox,
reality?
and I'm going to talk about it.
Teleporter!
First up, though, I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. Um, Even in the gameplay video that you're seeing, I'm going to try to keep it to the first couple of chapters of the game, and I'm going to try to avoid full-on solutions if I can absolutely help it, because this game is definitely an experience that if you're into puzzles and into trying to figure things out, then you should definitely go into it as blind as possible. But just know that it's a good game. It will definitely make you think, and it will really challenge you in order to do you the objective, basically. So if you are unfamiliar with Viewfinder, it is a puzzle game. I would call it a puzzle platformer technically, but your goal is there's a story that's going on that basically sends you into this portal like world. Without spoiling it, it sends you into this other world essentially, and you are basically getting from point A to point B. You're learning a story as you go along. All of the levels come from a hub world, so you enter a hub world and you have these teleporters around, and you just go to them in typically in a certain order. There are optional ones that you can skip over, and once you do enough of those, or all of the main ones actually, you can then go to another hub world, which is kind of like the next chapter in the game, and continue on from there. Now, there is only 5 chapters in this game. It is not a terribly long game, so that's why I want to keep spoilers to, like, the beginning parts of it. So the objective of the level is obviously to get to the teleporter to finish that portion of the level. Now, some of these are broken into like sub levels where you have to go through multiple teleporters to finish that sub chapter, I guess if I'll call it. Some of them are, only have a couple of them. So it really just varies. It's kind of random. Seems to be no rhyme or reason to how many smaller individual levels are within each teleporter section, but that really has no bearing on the game. Now, when you're in these little worlds where you're trying to get to this teleporter to leave, you are presented with a variety of things throughout the game that will advance you. Now, the first one that you're going to come across is taking photographs and holding them up and creating whatever's in the photograph in real life. And the perspective that you have versus where you're placing it does matter when it comes to trying to get to the other side. This is very hard to explain, so hopefully you're getting it with what I'm saying plus the video. But let's say that you have to cross a bridge and there is an obvious gap. Well, this photograph has a bridge in it, but if you place that bridge and you're looking kind of downward, and the bridge is kind of like a first person view, you're going to go down and under your objective. And so you're going to have to like maneuver the camera a little bit, and your perspective might change. Maybe you need to back up in order to cross that entire gap. And that's where like a lot of the challenge comes into play, is trying to figure that out. Now, luckily what they've done is there is an undo feature, which is absolutely perfect in this game. It kind of comes in the form of a rewind. And once you start getting into more complex levels where you have multiple pictures and other ways to traverse, the rewind feature is very handy in the terms of it can show you where you placed a picture in your timeline of that play and kind of go back quickly to it. And so it's a lot of, at least for me, a lot of trial and error to get these things to work. But I think that's part of the fun of the game. Now, as you progress, again, I'm going to keep this relatively spoiler-free. They will up the ante, if you will, in terms of the complexity and how to get to the end of the level. Some of them, the teleporters that is, may have a battery component where you have to charge up the teleporter by bringing so many batteries to it. There might only be one battery in the level, so some of the things that you unlock later, shortly into the game, is a camera, and you might have to take a picture of a battery and duplicate it basically in order to get enough batteries to open the teleporter. But you have to be careful where you place that, because if you place it in a way where you cut off part of the battery pad, well, then you've just nullified your chances of getting out of there. So there are some very unique and interesting ways to complete levels. There's obviously not a singular way to get out. I know for a fact that I must have completed levels in the most nonsensical way that I possibly can, but hey, it worked. So that's another fun way to go about this game, is trying to figure out your own way to get to the end, keeping it as spoiler free as possible for like the later half of the game. They introduce other things like time based challenges where you have to get somewhere within a certain time, or you have to, produce something within a certain time, keeping it as vague as I can. Sometimes you have to adjust the camera in certain ways. I feel like I'm doing a disservice in how vague I'm being, but if I spoiled trust me, it would be a disservice to whoever is playing the game, because the game is that good. Some of the things that are worth noting about this game is the art style. It obviously looks to me, obviously, it looks really nice. And there are some like fun, I'll call them cameo art styles that appear. And like you could just imagine what, a game that is based fully on those other art styles could be like. But just having like appearances of them, it's like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon kind of is one of the ones that appear, and like being able to just to go in that little section was like just a really fun time. And so the art style is really nice. There is voice acting in the game. I really wasn't involved in the story too much, but it was nice to have different voices there to hear that dialogue. And again, like I said, the game isn't too long, and I'm all about these games that, don't take up a majority of my time, because my time is limited these days. I think my playthrough on this one was somewhere in the 4 to 6 hour range, so it was not abysmal. And like I said, I'm not the smartest person, so if you are, then you probably do it probably on that 4 hour, maybe a little sooner, but I think that's about what to expect with the amount of levels there is, especially if you don't skip any. So yeah, that's Viewfinder in a very vague way. Just know that I really enjoyed it, and I'm not one to always play these puzzle games. There are a few that catch my attention and really like sink their teeth into me, but not all of them. And Viewfinder was one that I haven't really played a game like this before, and so it was an experience, and it's one that maybe a replay wouldn't serve as much justice, at least not soon, but it's one that like it's there, and if I ever wanted to, I could probably throw it on over a weekend, or a few days, and just like knock it out again once I've forgotten all the puzzles. So I really think that there's something here for everyone. It's really cool to think about the ways that you can complete a level, and I hope that they expand on it. I hope we get more of these. So yeah, if you had any interest in Viewfinder, I highly suggest exploring that interest and giving this one a try. So yeah, if you aren't on xboxtavern.com already, be sure to go there. I'll have a score for the game. But yeah, that will do it for me for Viewfinder. I will catch you in my next review. Have a good one.